Good morning, my dear and respected thinkers. Today in Daily Reflection, we are going to learn something about frustration across generations. We are living in a frustrated society where major chunk of population is demonstrating various kinds of frustration in one way or the other. One can feel the pungent smell of frustration from the loose talks of political leaders and the inconsistency of their statements on sensitive issues of national interest. The hot sermons of religious scholars are hardly free from the fumes of frustration. Various TV shows and analytical talk shows presented by so-called intellectuals mostly reflect their tone of annoyance and frustration. And the craze for unethical pictures and immoral talks is not of fun but frustration in the true psychological sense. One can also watch students and teachers, particularly in public schools and colleges, showing frustration in their dressing, walking and talking. Almost all public and private organs of the state are displaying a picture of frustration of their insiders and outsiders. Some severe kind of frustration can also be watched from the rebuking and shouting remarks of parents and teachers against their children and students. Family frustration are ventilated at offices and vice versa. This is how the fumes of frustration are triangulated to different walks of life and ultimately to coming generations. A frustrated society is dubbed as chronically diseased milieu, which disturbs the economic and political fabric of the country. The stringent elements of frustration of key stakeholders are creating hurdles in the way of institutional development and performance of good governance. Intellectual capabilities are also suffered not only due to frustrated segment of population, but because of the people working around them as well. There are development and policy imperatives of the penetration of frustration into domestic discourse. It has been examined that frustration is either directly or indirectly transmitted from generation to generation. When parents are shouting on children, and that too quite regularly, they are actually transmitting frustration to the coming generations. Personalities of children are broken when their feelings are snubbed. The inability and incompetency of government to settle the grievances of business community finally pile up frustration. Similarly, when injustice at the court of law is common amidst on-job frustration of key stakeholders, frustration is passed to the clients who are to distribute it ultimately to their families. The chain reaction continues. Children are paradoxically involved in the odd use of tabs, pads and laptops. They watch animated and horror movies which are slowly disturbing their faculty of thinking. Their nerves do not remain in their control and thus they get frustrated. Similarly, the lust for power and wealth has increased the extent of frustration among the youth. They want to be rich overnight, and that too without doing hard work. When they do not get the things done at par of their choice and desire, they get upset to the tune of complete frustration. Heavy expectations of the youth end up nowhere but fuss and frustration. There is a long list of reasons due to which frustration takes its roots in one form or the other. Besides sorrows and sufferings of life, there might be some economic and financial stress that may be infiltrating chaos and crisis. Defective matrimonial life and family disputes are the other major causes of frustration. The way the electronic media is presenting news items causes irritation among the masses. Mismanaged traffic system, ill-equipped health structure, and morally degraded education system instigate the phenomena of frustration. There may be unemployment and business failure that frustrates a person and thus deteriorates his psychological health. A variety of other factors also contribute in the promotion of frustration among the masses. The snobbish and luxury life of the rich and the wealthy act as killing example for the youngsters of middle class who dream to have the same luxurious life as they watched around them. Their long wish list may be disturbing their life. Moreover, high expectations when remain unfulfilled, the pangs of frustration appear in one's life. Such a deep-rooted frustration leads to labor inefficiency, thereby badly affect the productivity and effectiveness of their office and business life. One must realize the fact that generation of frustration is not highly associated to outward factors. It is more an inward phenomena. To this end, there is certainly inner solution to handle the problem. The key point is to accept the reality that whatsoever is the reason, we may get frustrated at some occasions of our life. Now, whatsoever are the circumstances, we may get control of our nerves to minimize its extent. We should have a realization that only we are important in stopping the transmission of frustration across generations. We need to think that if we continue transferring frustration to children, what good we can expect from them in the years to come. The recipe for getting rid of frustration is thus very easy. The best starting point is to enhance the faith on the Creator on all matters of life. One needs to keep one's heart spiritually charged by regularly convincing oneself that bad moments are not permanent and that good days are coming very soon. This is possible if we let the spirit to control the body rather than allowing the body to control the soul. We should start leading a simple and sophisticated life. By taking care of others, most of the frustration is diluted and drained in the ocean of flowing time. There is dire need of revival of strong family system where a harmonized setup of relations could be developed. It can easily be maintained if the voice of children, women and elders are listened with love and affection. Young chaps should be sensitized at home for being calm and cool in public life whenever there is some event against their temperament. Informal sessions of sensitization may be arranged in layer and player environment. Some training schemes should be introduced for the newly married couples for performing high-value parenting of children who could ultimately be freed from the winds of frustration. A great deal of responsibility lies with the government to formulate such social and economic policies as the frustration of deprived people could be reduced rather than perpetuated. It is not mere social protection that relieves the poor, but emotionally deprived segments of population demand more care. Rigorous research should initially be conducted to examine all possibilities of frustration along with their respective causes. Once the disease along with its source is identified, it would become easy to treat it at government level. In public institutions and state organizations, there should be some formal mechanism of counseling and character building of employees. All the parliamentarians and civil servants at high positions should undergo some regular training on soft matters so that the likelihood of frustration could be minimized. A platform may also be provided where employees could freely discuss their grievances and reservations, which in due course may perpetuate frustration. Confidentiality of such matters should also be maintained. Holistic and more human approach needs to be implemented for saving the coming generations from all types of frustration. The punchline is to limit the size of our basket of desires by installing the software of contentment and simplicity. This is what Japan and China did and found very good results. We need to enhance the momentum and the integrity in our academic and professional work. Our fortune lies not in frustration, but in the revival of humanity and morality in all affairs of life. Switchboard is in our hand. Let us switch off the red button of frustration with this strong faith that all kinds of darkness would be replaced with the green lights of progress and prosperity. Goodbye.